The Senate voting today on a proposal to end a $6 billion annual subsidy for ethanol. The vote comes as lawmakers look for ways to cut spending to reduce the deficit. Critics say these subsidies have caused food prices to surge. Ethanol supporters warn gasoline costs will rise. Good idea or not? Joining us now, Bob Dineen, CEO of the Renewable Fuels Association, who does not support a cut in subsidies. David Callahan, International Program Director at Demos, who says kill the subsidies. All right, let's start with the kill first. David, what's your case?
These are subsidies that both the left and the right should be willing to get rid of. People on the left hate it. The environmentalists hate these subsidies because ethanol is driving up fuel prices. It's contributing to deforestation by giving people, biofuels generally are bad news. So we need to get away from that as a solution. People on the right don't like these because, they see it as corporate welfare, distorts markets, puts government in the business of picking winners and losers. Yeah. So, this bill is being introduced by Tom Coburn, a Republican of Oklahoma. He was part of the Gang of Six. This should be the low-hanging fruit in terms of getting that budget deficit down.
Bob, let me ask you, I'm looking at the government website. It's quoting AAA right now, the Department of Energy, saying that just yesterday, if you're comparing the price of regular gasoline, the average is $3.69 a gallon. If you take E85, the ethanol blend, and you adjust it for your fuel efficiency, it costs $4.21 a gallon. So it's significantly more expensive. Does it make sense to subsidize something that's already so much more expensive right now in our economy?
Actually, the fact of the matter is ethanol is far less expensive than gasoline today.
I'm looking at AAA. I'm looking at the government website. I mean, this is just a fact that I'm taking right from the EIA.
You're looking at ethanol is sold as E85, which is generally far less expensive than gasoline anyway, but ethanol across the country is sold as a blend component in gasoline. And the studies that have been done on that show that because ethanol is 10% of the nation's fuel supply and is helping to reduce our imports of petroleum, because ethanol is less expensive than gasoline today, in 2010 alone, we saved 89 cents a gallon. You should take a look at the reports.
Yeah, but imports are still rising. And let me ask you this. I think in some sense, this goes back to the global warming issue. New studies show that the ethanol process has a heavy carbon footprint. Even Al Gore has acknowledged. So it's costing $6 billion a year, and it's got a heavy carbon footprint. And as Melissa said, the costs are very clear. With all these designer blends, people pay more. How do you rebut that? Let's start with the ethanol. Let's start with the carbon footprint.
Ethanol, because it's produced from renewable resources, it's taking carbon dioxide out of the air. It's actually reducing carbon dioxide emissions. And in fact, it's the only liquid transportation fuel today that is doing so.
Bob,
without ethanol, what's the alternative?
Yeah, but Bob,
is the alternative going to be more tar sands? Is the alternative going to be fracking? What are the environmental consequences of that? Look, ethanol today is a winner from the environmental perspective.
David, go ahead and respond to that.
Yeah. Well, the environmentalists are down on biofuels and they don't like ethanol, and the environmentalists have been out there saying we shouldn't continue this subsidy. Agricultural production is very fuel intensive, and also by driving up corn prices, we're incentivizing farmers in developing countries to clear land to grow crops there. That's producing carbon, that's reducing the carbon sink that tropical forests perform. So I think at this point, the environmental community is pretty clear in its position that biofuels are not the solution. In terms of what are the alternatives, I think the main thing we need to do is move to a more fuel-efficient vehicle fleet. We're now getting, on average, 20 miles a gallon for American cars. The Obama administration wants to move that up to 35 miles per gallon by 2016. I think that we should be on a faster timetable, and therefore those higher gas prices won't have such a negative impact on American families.
Bob Dineen, just one last one. On the economics of this, $6 billion in subsidies. In your opinion, could the ethanol industry survive without the government subsidies?
Look, the ethanol industry is going to. We have agreed that it is time for us to reform the ethanol tax incentive program. We're not talking about whether to get rid of the ethanol industry or the ethanol subsidy or not. We're talking about when and how. Senator Coburn wants us to just do it right now, immediately, with no plan for the future. Senator Thune, Senator Klobuchar, Senator Grassley, they actually have a plan that will make sure that there's still investment being made in infrastructure, that there's a safeguard against plummeting oil prices, and that there's a pathway for the next generation of biofuels, and that we can continue to evolve this industry. I don't know about the environmental community. They don't want to have farming in this country, apparently, but I will tell you that Americans across this country that are benefiting from 400,000 jobs want to see this industry continue to grow, and consumers across this country that are benefiting by reduced costs at the pump want to see this ethanol industry continue.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Good debate. We appreciate it.